The price of freedom is death. We're coming to get our check.
Black first, my brothers and my sisters, welcome to the Afro Elite YouTube channel. I am your host, Afro Elite. Before we get started, please make sure that you guys are subscribed. If you guys are subscribed, double check to make sure you guys are still subscribed. Hit that like button on the way in, hit that notification button. If you haven't done so already, share this, retweet this, post this on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you want to post this. Make sure you guys get that done. We got a lot of people already piled up in the chat room. So it's like a celebration, but there's some things that we need to discuss. Shout out to everybody in here. B1 salute to everybody in here. All right, let me make sure my sound is good. My sound is good. Okay, because something said no sound. If you guys can hear me clearly, can you leave the thumbs up emoji? I need to, because somebody said no sound. Am I good? Let me check and see. No sound. I don't think was I on at that point? Let me see. Okay, you guys are saying I'm good. Okay, I'm good. I'm good. That's good. That's good. So there's a lot we got to cover here. So we're just going to get started with it. We're just going to straight up get started right out just straight up. All right. So James Clyburn, I'm going to read you guys this article. James Clyburn is giving his seat up. He is taking a step down. Pull this article up real fast. Oh, where is it? I got a lot of, where is it? Hold on. Stop sharing the screen. There we go. All right. Here we go. Now, this is from The Hill. This came out yesterday. There's a lot we got to cover here, so that's why I'm already getting into it. We ain't even in here 2 minutes, and we already got over 100 people. You all know what we have to do when we reach 100 people in the room. You guys, we got to flood the chat room with the 100 emoji. We got to flood it with the 100 emoji. So as I'm reading this, brothers and sisters, let's get that 100 emoji rolling in. All right. It says, James E. Clyburn announced Wednesday that he will step out of the Democratic leadership, ending more than 2 decades of the top tiers of the party and opening the assistant leader spot to another aspiring lawmaker for the remainder of the 118th Congress. Clyburn, in his 32nd year on Capitol Hill, did not identify the reason for his decision, saying only that he has notified Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffers of his plan. Clyburn, 83 years old, 83, emphasized that he is not retiring from Congress altogether and intends to return next year to help confront unnamed threats, quote unquote, threats to the country. Okay, all right. Well, unknown threats to the country, whatever that could be. Quote, hold on, let me make sure. Mute this. Quote, I will return for re-election for the 6th congressional district, Clyburn said in a statement. It continues to say, events of the last several years have made it clear that the greatness of America is in peril. And now, the last several years, you mean like ever since America has been America? But okay, all right. And the threats to our continued pursuit of a more perfect union are real. Oh, okay. Because we've made so much progress due to Jim Clyburn, but just the last several years, just really since Donald Trump, is just been really bad. Continues to say, scrolling down a little bit here, first elected in 1992, y'all, 1992. First elected in 1992, Clyburn quickly made a mark on Capitol Hill, serving as head of the Congressional Black Caucus before being elected as vice chair of the Democratic Caucus in 2003. From there, he rose to caucus chair, and in 2007 rose again to Democratic whip, the 3rd ranking spot, where he served just below Representative Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer until last year, when Republicans seized control of the House and the top 3 Democratic leaders all stepped down from their spots. While Pelosi and Hoyer, I said Howard, while Pelosi and Hoyer resigned from their leadership altogether, however, Clyburn decided to remain, winning the position of assistant Democratic leader in the current Congress, the 4th or 5th ranking position, depending on whom you ask. Perhaps Clyburn's greatest influence over the party in recent years, however, has related to his role as a kingmaker. Now, keep in mind they use that word kingmaker. All right, kingmaker, because we're going to explain that a little bit. They slipped that in, but we got to explain that. Kingmaker in his home state of South Carolina, where his enthusiastic support for Joe Biden, let me repeat that, was a tipping point in Biden's successful bid for the Democratic nomination and ultimately the White House in 2020. In Wednesday's statement, Clyburn predicted Biden would prevail again in November. Oh, well, let's see that. Yes, we've already at 200 people already, brothers and sisters, not even 10 minutes in. So we got it. We see Earth Angel on it. We see our brother Hurricane RQ on it. We already need the 100 emojis in. We 200 deep, 10 minutes in, y'all. We got to flood the chat room. Just got to get bussing. Okay, so Clyburn, he's not in office anymore. He's been in there. He has been in office, brothers and sisters, since 1992. Since the early 90s, Jim Clyburn has been in office. Okay, his district is one of the poorest districts in the state. All right, I want you to we got some data here because we got to go through some data, right? So we got some data here so we can look at the state of his congressional district. Now he's in charge of the 6th district. This is his district. You can look it up. This is his district. All right. Now he's been in charge for that long. I mean, and they went through the accolades. Oh, minority whip. He's the assistant director. He's in the top 3. He's in the top 4. He's in the top this. He's in the top that. So they went through all of his accolades, all of his positions. So you can tell with somebody with this much power, he should be able to do something at the very least for his district specifically, at the very, very least for his district specifically. Now, going through it, right? Going through it now, we're going to, because this is going to go through the poverty and everything like that. Now, this is the poverty rate. Okay, at 25% in about children under 18 and then seniors over 18. It should be a little bit more than that because there's a big gap in between. But I want to show you the data in comparison. This is the data in comparison right here. Let me stretch it out a little bit. Between the poverty rate of his district, South Carolina, in the United States. So the average poverty, now this is just a medium, is 16, which is high, 16.3% for the entire United States of America. For South Carolina, it goes up from 16.3 to 19.2. This is the non-poverty line, the people who are not in the poverty line, all right? And then for his district specifically, move the mouse. Okay. For his district specifically, it is 25.3% for his district specifically. So I'm saying all of this, I'm showing you guys the actual table. This is live. You can see the numbers going through. It says view table. If it would load up, I'm going to show you in a different perspective so you know for a fact whenever it loads up. I got a lot of clips and stuff like that. So You know for a fact I'm not exaggerating or anything. He's been in there for 3 decades. And you can clearly tell when it comes to his district is worse when it comes to every demographic. This is males. This is males. Scroll down. All of these are in this specific category. When you go all the way up to total, the website is tripping a little bit right here, but when you go all the way up, and you can tell this is live, in every single demographic, people are worse off in South Carolina because of him. Because of him. Now, folks might say it's hard or whatever. We were willing to give him a chance to come back and redeem himself. We were willing to give him a chance to come back and redeem himself because recently we've been making, as foundational Black Americans, y'all see this shirt. I had to wear this shirt specifically. We were making progress in reparations, and we were saying, well, you've been in this leadership. It would be very beneficial for Jim Clyburn for you to be in this leadership if you would support reparations and support our campaign and support all of this. So these are the things that he's been talking about, HR 40. So I'm going to go through these clips, and I'm going to try my best to go through it in as chronological order as possible. But before we do that, you all know what we have to do. We have to dot our I's and cross our T's. So here we go. Copyright disclaimer. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Hey, do we have 300 people in the chat room already? Oh, we got over 300 people in the chat room already. 15 minutes in, y'all. We got to flood the chat room again. Y'all know we probably going to be doing this all night. We might be doing this all night. We breaking records tonight. We got to flood the chat room again. Let's get it going. All right. This clip was from 2019. This was from 2019 when he was asked about HR 40. So we know, just so you all know, HR 40 is a nothing burger. It's a study, and we're going to prove it's a study. And just because somebody supports HR 40 does not mean that they support reparations, cash payment reparations, which is really the only form of reparations, does not mean that. And Jim Clyburn is going to prove, I'm going to show you proof that he does not support that. All right. So this is him, and he's being interviewed. He's being asked about HR 40, and he's going to admit that HR 40 is a study. It's not reparations. It's a study, which is what he supports. And then he's going to say something that's totally wild. All right. But let's listen. Let's listen.
40, I don't know what the number may have been back then. I came here in 93, but the issue was being pushed by John Conyers. That's right. And I talk to Conyers about that often. So that has been around, and I've been here 26 years. So this issue has been around for that long. And it calls for the creation of a commission to study reparations.
You hear that, okay? It calls for a commission to study reparations, okay? Now, here's the thing. When you first hear somebody say that, you would think like, okay, well, if you want to study it, that means you support it, and you just want to find out the best way to go about it. That's what you would think that means, but that's not what he means when he's saying that. It's been around for this long, and we just want to study reparations. That's what he says. So anytime somebody says, well, HR 40, Jim Clyburn, you heard it here, Jim Clyburn, out of his own mouth, admitted that HR 40 is not reparations. HR 40 is only to form a committee to study, to handpick and select people to study reparations. Now, mind you, America is being flooded with millions at this point, millions of illegal immigrants, and the American government, the United States government, has allocated billions of dollars to provide for them, to house them, to feed them, to clothe them, and even to just give them money, with the full support, really, of the Democrat. Am I back? Shit. Okay. If I'm back and you guys can hear me, let me know. Let me know if I'm back. We had 400 people in the room just a second ago. We just have 400 people in this room. Ooh, okay. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, because now I got to get all these clips back. And you know what? We'll handle it. We'll deal with it. Okay. We have 400 people in here and then we just lost a bunch, but that's fine. We're back. We're good. Okay. So, damn, where I was saying. So, let me pull this clip right back up. Now I got to find all these clips again, but it's okay. I got them all listed, so it won't be difficult. All right.
I don't know.
So, before we continue, as I was saying before I was rudely interrupted, you have millions at this point, which they admit, millions of illegal immigrants coming over here. They don't know who they are. There has not been any plan. There has not been any bills passed. There has not been anything besides them coming over here to study what they need. Oh, just money just allocated to them. Ukraine, money allocated to them. Anything foreign, money allocated to them. Not a single study, not a single committee has been formed. Give me the committee that is specifically there to study how illegal aliens get to come over here and get money. Give me their committee. Give me Ukraine's committee. Give me Israel's committee. Give me these people's committee, because these people don't need a committee. We had a pandemic a couple years ago. They didn't need a committee. All right. None of these things need a committee, but now we need a committee and now we need to study. But this bill has been here for like close to 4 decades now, and nobody's really been passing it. But before I was rudely interrupted, let's continue, because then he says something that's really wild after he says that. Let me fast forward a little bit.
Create a commission and then wait on the commission to do whatever it's going to do and make recommendations. Is that going to take another 26 years? Mm-hmm. And then we've lost 2 generations. Yeah. We have lost a generation since I've been here. And I told our friends in the NAACP, 1 or 2 of them got upset with me when I said to them that we were making a big mistake allowing affirmative action to be defined as quotas and preferences.
Y'all pay attention now. Hold on. Y'all pay attention to what he has to say.
2 of them got upset with me when I said to them that we were making a big mistake allowing affirmative action to be defined as quotas and preferences. And that's what happened to affirmative action. To me, affirmative action was a form of reparations.
Well, did y'all hear that? Hold on, let me play it back. Let me play that back.
That's what happened to affirmative action. To me, affirmative action was a form of reparations.
To me, affirmative action was a form of reparations. This man is calling affirmative action a form of reparations. That's what he said. I'm going to play it one last time, because then I'm going to play another thing.
To me, affirmative action was a form of reparations.
Oh, okay. So affirmative action is a form of reparations. So a lot of people are like, well, maybe he's, because, so you know, this man has been in office for decades. So a lot of people have bias to him, and they're like, well, you have to understand, because when people make excuses for Clyburn, people say things like, well, you have to understand, he's the type of person who wants to meet in the middle. He's the type of person who wants to do the most for everybody. But when you look at stuff like this, when he's caping for the quote unquote Native Americans, this is him caping for the Native Americans, and he posts this. This is him. He doesn't have an issue with all lives matter when he's talking about the quote unquote red Native Americans. Listen to this.
Claims Settlement Act and reaffirm recent action taken by the Department of Interior to take land into trust for the tribe. Most importantly, this bipartisan legislation is a very significant step towards rectifying historic injustices that have been perpetrated against the Catawba Indian Nation. Like in many other instances of current effects of his.
We got 500 people. Y'all know what we got to do. I'm going to get to the super chats right after this.
Historical inequities, the Catawba Nation experiences high unemployment and poverty rates, causing many of its citizens to rely upon federal and state governments for basic social service. The enactment of this legislation is critical to helping the Catawba Indian Nation secure economic self-sufficiency as Congress originally intended when it passed the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act of 1988.
Have you ever seen a clip of him advocating on behalf of Black people, foundational Black Americans? Have you ever seen him get on the stage and say that specifically like that?
I respectfully ask
I got a lot more.
my colleagues for a favorable vote on this act, and I yield back.
Okay, so he yields. So that's him. Now, when it comes to, and I played that clip specifically because I want to show you, when it comes to advocating for other people, he doesn't have an issue with it. All right. Now, a lot of people got on him, and we're gonna build this up. We got stuff. We got a lot to talk about, brothers and sisters. So y'all get comfortable. So when people started pressing him about reparations, if you guys don't remember this famous clip, this clip went viral a few years ago. Right.
I'm doing well. Listen,
remember this? Shout out to the Black Authority. Shout out to Jason Black. Remember this a few years ago? One brother went to him and they asked, a lot of people were thinking it was our brother Marcel. This was not Marcel, even though Marcel, you know, had him biting his fingernails off when Marcel was running. Shout out to Marcel, but Marcel isn't the man in this video. All right. So this is a fish fry. He has an annual fish fry, or he has fish fries around election time to get people out, to get people registered to vote, to convince people who to vote for, to just, everybody knows what the deal is with his fish fry. So he was having his fish fry, and a brother went up to him and they asked him about reparations. Now, mind you, in the previous clip I showed you, he admitted that reparations is only a study, or HR 40 is only a study for reparations. That's not reparations. But let's continue.
I gotta go, but I appreciate the fish fry and everything. I did want to ask though, reparations is a big thing.
Look, reparations is big with me. I'm the only one that's doing the deal.
Look, just immediately he waves his hands and cut him off. Immediately he waves his hands, cut him off.
Me, I'm the only one that's doing the deal. Why y'all keep fucking with me on that? I'm the only one doing the deal. It's my deal.
Why y'all keep effing with me with that? I'm the only one doing the deal.
Which bill?
The reparations bill.
HR 40?
HR 40.
Okay.
And I've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years. And it's been around for 38. So why y'all keep telling me about a bill that's been there for 38 years?
Well,
go live with my grandson. Yeah. He ain't but 27. That bill been up there 38 years, and y'all looking at me that I'm supposed to pass it.
Well, here's the thing. If he's in there, and we discussed in the very beginning of this live, we discussed all of his accolades, how he started off in this, and then in 2007 he became minority whip, and then he grew to become this leader, and he just grew up in the political ladder. He just started scaling up and scaling up and scaling up. And then when you press him about, well, why hasn't this been done? If HR 40 has been sitting there for over 30 years, and you've been accumulating all this political power, and you have all this political sway, why haven't you been able to really push this to the forefront? Because a lot of people didn't know about HR 40 till a few years ago, and that is literally only because we have been pushing the issue for reparations. And then they all like, oh, we do have this HR 40 thing. They picked up a file and they started dusting the file off and said, what about this HR 40 thing? And we're all like, that's not really reparations. But the thing is that Jim Clyburn never pushed HR 40. We don't have several clips of him pushing HR 40 or him or any other political candidate. We don't have them, political politician. We don't have them pushing HR 40. He's never been pushing HR 40. And as a matter of fact, he is against direct cash payments. And we will show you that he is against that. So he's not pushing HR 40. He's not. This man calmly came up to him, was like, hey, you know, I want to talk about reparations. He immediately got defensive. Why y'all keep effing with me? All right, let's continue. Let's play it.
We just want you to push it.
I have been.
Well,
Ask Sheila Jackson Lee.
tell her to push it too.
Well, she's the one that authored it. She wrote it.
Yeah.
The choices
Come
being
on,
made
y'all need to
in the name
get.
of
No, y'all need to
Gotta
get
land that
real.
plane.
Y'all need to stop this foolishness and
for
get real.
those choices.
He said, y'all need to stop this foolishness and get real.
Respectfully, that's all I'm saying. Just putting that out there. You know, we want to see that. We actually want to see that go.
Well, everybody wants to see that go.
Which rests on fiscal reasonableness, support for federalism, and the ideal that our elected
Everybody want to see that
officials
go.
have a moral
Everybody.
imperative to go.
All right.
By
I want to see voting go too.
reasonableness, it means
And it
that
hasn't passed.
readily
Is that my problem too?
budgets are
I want to.
Is that my problem too, dude? Where the attitude and the disposition he had, reparations triggered this man. Clyburn is literally getting out of body right now. He is acting triggered. This man still, shout out to this brother. This brother still has not raised his voice. This brother still has not, snapped back at him. He's not talked down to him. He's not really said anything disrespectful. This man, Clyburn, is sitting up there, moving around in this chair. Is that my problem too? Dude, I mean, you do act like that's your problem.
Cast a vote.
Is that my
So
problem?
hard choices.
It'd be a
would
problem
have
if we
to be
don't.
made.
So I want to vote.
From federalism,
No,
I wanna see some
I'm saying
tangible.
the Voting Rights Act has been destroyed by the Supreme Court. Because they'll fool around here. People don't vote.
Now he's talking about the Voting Rights Act, which has nothing to do with FBA.
And you got Trump, and now we've lost the Voting Rights Act. Now women is about to lose the right of choice.
He's talking about the Voting Rights Act, the women using, which is abortion, which has absolutely nothing to do with reparations. This man said, if you notice, this brother barely said anything. He came, he was respectful. He wasn't like, hey, Clyburn, where's reparations, nigga? He wasn't like that. He came, he was respectful or whatever, and then he was like, hey, reparations. Clyburn has gone off and not chilled since he heard the word reparations. Now he's talking about Voting Rights Act and women's choice. What?
So yes,
Simply
this
because
means there
y'all
will
gonna get
always
real.
be some tension between the states
Y'all gonna
and
get
the
real.
federal government.
You want to make a
I
headline.
don't think that tension is
Let's
something
make headway.
that should be feared.
Let's get some reparations.
Headline, not headway. Okay, he came there, he shook his hand, he was being respectful. Let me get to the super chats before we play some of the other clips. Shout out to Darlene. Says, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so very much, sister. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Walter, shout out to you, Walter. Shout out to Tom. Appreciate you, Walter. Thank you very much. Appreciate you, Tom, for the super sticker. Thank you so very much. Our brother Tell It Like It Is. He says, how is something that benefited white women more than everyone else count as reparations for FBA? That's a good question. And let me ask you another question. Thank you very much for that. Thank you very much for that question. Let me say something else. What is the difference? Because he's a lifelong Democrat. He's one of the oldest Democrats in office currently sitting. He's one of the oldest sitting Democrats there, period. Been there for a lifetime, literally. If he has the opinion that we already got reparations through affirmative action, what is the now for the people who will be all like, y'all sound like Republicans? Let me ask you, what is the difference? What is the difference between James Clyburn saying affirmative action is reparations, than Donald Trump saying affirmative action is reparations? he sounds, and I'm going to show you more clips. He sounds at times like a damn Republican. This is why we don't do the Democrat and Republican thing, because we know they're both one side of the same exact coin. That's what you would hear a Republican saying. Now, if a Republican said that, everybody would be going viral. Look at what he's saying. Look at what he's saying. But a Democrat said that. They have the same view on reparation. He sounds like, well, you got affirmative action, don't you? Does that not sound like something a Republican would say? That's a good point. Thank you. We have another one from Panther Strike. Thank you very much, brother. He says, brother Afro Elite, Clyburn is leaving because of pressure. That's true. From us. He's done nothing for Black Americans, especially his own district. Exactly. He has done nothing. His district has gotten poorer since he's been in office. Now, he's in the other clip, he was getting out of body. He was all like, oh no, I've been the only one supporting reparations. I've been the only one supporting reparations. Okay. Then we have this clip we need to play. So another brother, this isn't the same brother, I don't think, at least. This isn't the same brother, also confronted him about cash payment reparations. Now, the previous brother didn't even get that far. The second he said anything about reparations, Clyburn wanted to get up and hit him with the chair. So this brother was able to come to him and confront him specifically about cash payments.
If you wait on cash payments to come out of reparations, you're going to wait forever. It's not going to happen.
Let me play that back because you might be hearing some noise in the background. He said, if you wait for cash payments to come out of reparations, you're going to wait forever because it's never going to happen. Now, this is the same Jim Clyburn who was getting out of pocket talking about how he's the only one who's been supporting HR 40 and he's been supporting HR 40 for all this time and how everybody needs to leave him alone and you shouldn't be blaming him. It's not his problem. This is him when he's asked about cash payment reparations. He says, it's never going to happen.
If you wait on cash payments to come out of reparations, you're going to wait forever. It's not going to happen.
Now, but it's not going to happen. But yet you have in New York, currently in New York, they're giving prepaid credit cards to illegal immigrants. They're giving checks straight off the buses in Chicago. They're giving checks to illegal immigrants. They're just giving them money on top of already providing for them. They're just giving them money. And y'all don't even have these people's paperwork. You all don't even have these people's paperwork. And Jim Clyburn is not saying anything about that. He's not saying, well, if immigrants are waiting for cash payments, they're going to wait forever because it's never going to happen. He would never say such a thing. Why would that not happen? Because last I checked, the Japanese got cash. Why would it never happen for us? Because the Japanese got it. What makes them different from us? Because what you all call the Native Americans got it. They're still getting it, a lot of them. What makes them different from us? Because there are victims of 9/11, the families of 9/11, they got cash. What makes them different from us? Oh, I can go on and on and on. Y'all been giving cash. Y'all gave cash. Y'all want to hear something crazy? Y'all gave cash to the Confederate leaders, to former slave owners for having to give their slaves up. Let me repeat that again so that I can really marinate. America gave money to former slave owners for having to give their slaves away after slavery was outlawed. So America has never had an issue. America's never, ever, ever been cheap. We're not even talking about all of the foreign ventures, all of the foreign money that you guys have been giving to other countries. We're not even talking about all of that. But when it comes to us, oh yeah, it's never gonna happen. It's never ever ever gonna happen. Okay, but let's look. You're
gonna wait forever. It's not gonna happen. So what you got to do, let me just talk. Don't put that in my face.
Why are you touching me?
Okay, all right.
Did you see? So you guys don't know because the thing is recorded, right? And from an angle, you can't see it. Clyburn hits the dude. The guy has a camera or whatever. It's not a problem. Clyburn's like, it's never going to happen. This man just gets frustrated. And he hits him. That's why the dude was all like, why are you, what are you doing? Why are you touching me? And I'm going to take it back. You can, and how you know is because you can hear, even if he like pulled his hand down, you wouldn't be able to hear it. You can hear a hit when the impact is quick. That's why you can hear it. You hear him hitting him.
Not going to happen. So what you got to do, let me just talk. Don't put that in my face.
Why are you touching me?
Okay, all right. I'm going to leave you alone.
And the dude was like, dude, what are you putting your hands on me for? And then he was like, nah, I'll just leave it alone. And he walks away. So Clyburn says, we can't get reparations. Don't really is never going to happen. And then just hits the guy. And then the dude's all like, dude, what are you doing? And then he just, I'll just walk away.
Check. Tell Nancy Pelosi to cut the check.
Yeah.
You do that for me?
She's the treasurer.
Cut the check. Somebody better cut the check.
Well,
reparations are owed, sir.
Talk to the
ADOS, you're not going to run away from this issue, Congressman.
Oh, I'm not trying to run away from
it. It seems like you are. You're walking away right now.
Oh. I'm
cut the check, Congressman. Cut the check. Okay. ADOS, you're not going to walk away from this, Congressman. ADOS is everywhere. Cut the check.
I'm not mad at it. Majoring in minors, but we FBA over here. We this is what we rap. But I ain't even gonna trip on that. But you see the way he hit him and then just walked away and then laughed at him. Nancy Pelosi, like he's laughed. I'm gonna ask you again, what is the difference? What is the difference between how he's behaving and how a Republican would behave? Shout out to Cylburn and Blueberry Muffin for the Cash Apps. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Shout out to the mods for posting the Cash Apps as well too. What is the difference? It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The same way Republicans will be all like, y'all not gonna get reparations, y'all not gonna get no cash, and then hit you and walk away. You would think that this is a Republican who's doing this. This is why we say we don't view them any differently. We don't view one even slightly above the other one. This is why we say that, because they act the same way when it comes to us, when it comes to black people. They have the same views, the same disposition, the same anti-blackness. Another thing, when you want to talk about, hold on, I clicked the wrong thing. I got to get all this stuff back because I got kicked out of the room. But when you want to talk about him being a Republican and him having Republican views, look at this one. Now, this was during the George Floyd thing where people were us, the Foundation Black Americans, us as black folk, when we were uprising to bring forth justice against police brutality. This is what Jim Clyburn had to say.
What do you make of the fact of the House seats that you lost and why that happened?
Well, it happened simply because we were not able to discipline ourselves according to voter sentiment. We keep making that mistake, this foolishness about you got to be this progressive or that progressive. That phrase, defund the police, cost Jamie Harrison tremendously. Now, I'm not saying.
Before we continue, defund the police really, to be honest, came from the liberals. That's not something that the grassroots organically came up with. We were not talking about defund the police. That's not really the grassroots thing. They saw the energy that we were having when it came to the police and to have some accountability, and they got ahead of it, and they were all like, oh, what we're going to do is we're going to say defund the police. We were saying punish, arrest, charge, and jail the police. We weren't saying defund the police. That's not what we were on. We were on they need to go to jail. They were on like take their money. No, that's not really what we were on. They kind of took our energy and they kind of pivoted it a little bit, you know. But what he's talking about is not necessarily the defund the police, just the police protest in general. That's really what he's talking about. I'm taking back a little bit.
Defund the police cost Jamie Harrison tremendously. Now, I'm not saying it was the only problem.
You sound kind of mad, Congressman. It sounds like you're blaming the more progressive members of your party for holding folks accountable or to a standard that doesn't work in their district. Do you blame the progressive members?
No, I don't blame progressive members. I want everybody in my caucus to be as practical as I am. That's the difference here. How are you going to look at me and say I'm not progressive? This foolishness about you more progressive than I am, that's poppycock, and I'm not going to listen to it.
If you could have a caucus meeting right now and you would, or tell folks what they should do differently, given the losses that we have, what would you say to them?
Stop sloganeering. Sloganeering kills people.
Now, what's interesting is that he says sloganeering kills people. Sloganeering doesn't kill people when you say vote or die. All of these slogans that are coming specifically from the DNC, when they say things like vote blue no matter who, vote or die, or anything that has to do with the, you know, the poke thing, you know, all those those are fine slogans. Those slogans, those are fine. Those are acceptable. But when it comes to the police, sloganeering kills people and stop sloganeering, that then he has an issue with sloganeering. Then it who has defund the police killed? Because I can give you people police have killed, but who has defund the police killed? While sloganeering kills people, not the police, but the slogans against the police killing people, that was kills people. All right. So this is what I'm saying. What is the difference? Brothers and sisters, what is the difference between him and a Republican? Now, I'm gonna tell you this. He will always back Biden. No matter what, he will back Biden. Y'all check this out.
Clyburn of South Carolina, thank you so much for being here. The Biden campaign, with your help, went into South Carolina last night hoping for a show of force in a state where there is, of course, a large Black vote. There had been some concern about whether he has maintained his standing with Black voters. Based on what you saw last night, what's the answer?
Well, thank you very much for having me. I think the answer is an emphatic yes. And the best illustration of that, he got 96% of the vote in this primary, but his largest percentage, over 97%, was in the town of Orangeburg, where there are 2 HBCUs and a community college. And he got the largest percentage of the whole state. So that demonstrates to me what I've been saying all the time, that Joe Biden has not lost any support among African Americans. Now, you can go out and talk to 10 people, publish the comments of one, and maybe give off a different thought. But he has not lost support among African Americans.
Okay, hold on. Let me pause it. This man says, despite, and this is why it's so important that you guys subscribe. This is why it's so important that you guys watch on the regular, because we consistently document these things. We have consistently shown you, not just told you, but we've shown you the data, we've shown you the polls, we've shown you the statistics, we've shown you that Black voters are pulling back from Biden. This man is so in love with his massa, he's going to just get up here and lie. It's a delusional lie to say, oh, Black voters have no problem with Biden. Black voters don't have a problem with Biden. See, this is their problem. This is the Democrats' problem right now. On one hand, they're trying to front and act like there's no problem whatsoever between Biden and Black voters. They're trying to lie in front to the best of their ability that Biden has no Black problem at all. And on the other hand, they're trying to admit and encourage more Black people to get on board. So they're caught in this place, between a rock and a hard place, because either you fully admit that you have a problem with black voters and there's a reason why black voters don't want to support you, or you say that black voters don't have an issue with you. That's it. That's it. You can't have it both, and they're trying to have it both. And here he goes trying to cape for his massa. Now, listen to what she has to say after that.
As you said, Joe Biden won 96%. That ain't bad. I do want to ask about turnout. You said beforehand that you were hoping it would be between 150,000 to 200,000. It looks like the final turnout is going to fall short of that, just north of 130,000. Does that tell you anything about enthusiasm voters have for the president's reelection?
No, not at all. What it tells me is that when you have a primary with 23 candidates, all running very active campaigns. You remember, we had Joe Biden on the ticket. We had Bernie Sanders. We had Elizabeth Warren. We had Pete Buttigieg. All of these people very seriously running for president. And they were spending time in the state. They had volunteers on the ground. So you're going to turn out a bigger vote. And so what I said at the time is that I had no thoughts of coming anywhere close to that. And my hope was, I've said anything from 100 one time to 150. And I think I may have said one time from 150 to 200. But I knew one thing, it'll be somewhere between 20 and 35% of what it was the last time.
So,
okay. So what he's saying, shout out to Cardigan for the super chat. For the cash app. I'm going to get to the super chat later. Now, what he's saying is, well, essentially the last election, 2020, the 2020 election, you had Biden running, you had Bernie Sanders, you had all of these other people running a serious campaign. So there was turnout because all of these other people had different voter blocks that were coming out to support them. So of course it was going to be higher turnout because it was higher competition. But the thing is that you can't brag, oh, we got 90% of the people voting. 90% of the people voted for me. Well, you can't necessarily, that might be true, but if the turnout is low, how effective is that? See, what they're trying to do is they're trying to use that in front and be all like, see, 90% of the people voted in this election, giving us the nomination. So clearly we don't have a problem. Well, yeah, maybe that might be true if 90% of the people voted for you. But if only 10 people came and 90% of those 10 people, which is 9 people, voted for you, you can't really bet on that. That's why she was all like, well, the statistics might be true, but the turnout was low. The turnout was lower than what you expected the turnout to be. So you can't really bank on the fact that it was a high percentage of people. It was a high percentage of low people. So that's really not going to get you anywhere. The people are not turning out in the numbers necessary. There are going to be people who are going to turn out regardless. We understand this. We're never going to get to a percentage where nobody is going to vote for Biden or Clyburn or the Democrats. We're never going to get to that. But the thing is that that number is fading and getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, to the point where the people who are coming out and those reliable few are getting so low to where their numbers are not relevant. You need more numbers. You need a higher turnout. This is what the Democrats have an issue with. Not the fact that the people who've already sold their soul to the Democratic Party are going to switch. No, they're reliable. They're not going anywhere. That's not your problem. Your problem is everybody else who has not sold their soul to the Democratic Party and everybody else who does not just blindly vote blue no matter who. That's the problem, because those are the people who are sitting home, just like she expressed. Let's continue.
I know what you said about where the vote was in South Carolina, and that's critically important. But I do want to press you on the notion of the president's support among Black voters in other states that will be very competitive, like Michigan. There was a
now she's bringing up a good point here, because South Carolina is super blue. It's blue, 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 blue. It couldn't be more blue. Blue like the damn sky and the sea. But in other states, the swing states, and this is why the turnout is important, because that's going to determine the direction of the swing states. So in states like Michigan, in states like Georgia, in these states that are the swing states, where the turnout is most important, is the turnout going to be a problem? This is what she's asking.
Voter who did talk to my colleague Jeff Zeleny, and he talked about his concerns with the president and the fact that he doesn't necessarily feel that the president can relate. Let's take a listen.
He speaks to an entirely different generation. He speaks to the greatest generation. He speaks very well to the baby boomers. But he does not speak to a generation that had a president that listened to Jay-Z on his playlist.
So that's a pastor in Michigan. You're not worried at all?
Just what, really? That listened to Jay-Z on his, okay, anyway.
That the president isn't connecting with young Black voters on issues they care?
How offensive is that? I want a president that listens to Jay-Z on his playlist. That's the way Obama came out here trying to be cool, shooting basketballs and stuff like that. I'm going to tell y'all right now, I love basketball, all that stuff. Listen, I don't give a damn if my president doesn't play basketball, doesn't like basketball, doesn't like sports. I don't care if he don't like hip hop. I don't care if he don't like fried chicken. I don't care if he don't like none of the Black stuff that I like. I don't care. All right. I'm not going to get swayed by that. See, that's that stupid thinking that had Kamala Harris going up there talking about fried chicken and greens and keeping hot sauce in her purse. That's that stupid stereotypical thinking that you think of Black people. So yeah, they can't relate, but it's not because they can't relate. But you're like, man, who do you be listening to? Because you don't even listen to Lil Wayne. So how can you relate to me? No. You can't relate to me because clearly you don't care about your constituency. You don't care about the people living in this condition, and I do. That's how you don't relate to me. It's not because of the fact that you don't listen to the music I listen to. We could give a damn about that. It's not because of the fact that you don't eat the food I eat, or you don't play the sports I play. You don't watch the TVs I watch or the movies I watch. It's not because of any of those superficial things. It's because of the fact that you are here in a position and you're not doing what you're supposed to do in the position to care for the people you're supposed to care for. This is why there's no connection, okay? Because the younger voters, which is where they're having a problem from, the younger voters don't feel like, well, you know what? It's our moral response. Do we have 600 people in here? Oh, y'all already on the chat room. Y'all already on it. The younger voters don't feel like there's a moral obligation to just vote because our quote unquote ancestors died for the right to vote. We don't feel that way. So this is why you're having an issue. This is why you have an issue, not because of listening to Jay-Z. All right. Let me get to this couple of super chats real quick before we continue. All right. Shout out to Dakota Jenkins. He says, he did literally all caps ran from FBAs with the FBA flag and shirts at his fish fry last year. He did. Yes, he did. Disgusting. He vouches for Indians and not his own. Shaking my head. Yeah, he does. Got on there saying it was an injustice, what's happened to them, what's done to them. Thank you very much, brother. I appreciate that. Shout out to NFR MRY. I'm not sure exactly what that stands for. No disrespect, but that's why I set the letters. Says Clyburn talks like every single word requires him to muster all of his strength. He does. Thank you for that. But he really, really, really does. He sounds like a weak man. Yeah, I can't believe this anymore. But let's listen. The pastor goes back and he's talking about he can't relate. Biden can't relate to the younger crowd. It's not because of no damn hip hop, but okay.
About?
Well, I've heard from people in Michigan asking me to come there, and I plan to go there. I've heard from and the pastors in Michigan, by the way, and some in Pennsylvania as well. And I plan to spend some time in those states because, as they've said to me, they want someone who has had the experiences of working with Joe Biden, who knows the record and who can relate to young people. You know, I do talk to young people all the time. I have young children, I have grandchildren, and I talk to them and I listen to them. And I do know that they tell me that their only issue is with style.
I gotta take a breath with this. I wanted to pause it so I can brace you all, but I couldn't. I couldn't click it in time enough. He says, I listen to young people. I mean, I got a grandson and I'll listen to my grandson. So don't that count, right? That count, don't it? There's young people all the time. Then he gonna use old, outdated slang. I'm hip to the game. I understand what y'all popping with. I get it. Y'all got y'all little PlayStations and stuff. I play the PlayStation. Listen. And he says, y'all hear what this man just said. The only issue young people have with him is style. Let me play that back.
And I talk to them and I listen to them. And I do know that they tell me that their only issue is with style. It's not about substance. And what I need.
The only I just can't just keep it going like that. I gotta break it up so it can be bearable. I gotta break it up. He says the only issue is with style, it's not substance. So the younger people don't have an issue with the fact that Biden has not done anything substantive to better the lives of black folk, but our issue is style. That's our problem. That's it right there.
Need to do, and all of us need to do, is get people to see the difference. Joe Biden is not going to go around calling names, and Joe Biden may not be quoting the songs that a lot of them listen to, but he will make their educational opportunities better. He will make their medical situations better. And that's what he addresses. Joe Biden is not the kind of person who will repeat.
Mind you, Joe Biden has been there in the office. His time in office is almost up, less than 12 months away. He's been in office for 3 years. He will make your health better. He will make your education better. How so? How has Joe Biden done that? How has he done that? Because a lot of people was all like, man, Joe Biden, he gonna end student debt. Didn't. Joe Biden, he gonna make healthcare free. Didn't. So how has Joe Biden done this?
Rap songs and be in a kind of a TV personality. Joe Biden is all about substance. And to me, there is no substitute for substance. All the style that people get caught up on may be good for the moment, but it's not a thing, won't do a thing for your futures.
Before I let you go, sir, I want to ask about something that's happening here in Washington. House Speaker Johnson announced yesterday that he's going to hold a vote this week in the House on a standalone $17.6 billion bill to support Israel, which means he's going to leave behind money for Ukraine and more aid and changes in the laws on immigration. Would you support that?
Well, I'll support the concept. I have to see what the bill is all about. I would want to see a bill dealing with Israel and Ukraine and the border all together, as the Senate seems to be doing. Well, it would seem to me that if this comes up and it meets the test, and my leader, Hakeem Jeffries, who's sitting in the room doing the negotiations, say it's a good thing to go forward with, I'll vote for it. Then hope that the Senate will do what is necessary to cobble together a comprehensive effort for Congress to respond to Ukraine, to Israel, to the border in one fell swoop.
So you think it's a good first step because the White
We're talking about other things that ain't got to do with us, because ain't none of that got to do with us. None of that. Now, I'm gonna say another thing too. We have to be careful of this controlled opposition, which a lot of that stuff is. A lot of that stuff is controlled opposition. A lot of that, well, Biden has an issue with rap. That's controlled Biden has an issue, but with the controlled opposition, what they do is they say Biden's issue is something that Biden's issue isn't. So they have to acknowledge the fact that Biden has an issue. They have to acknowledge the fact that he has a problem. But what they try to do is they try to rebrand and come up with a cover for the problem. Well, younger voters don't want to vote for Biden because he doesn't listen to Jay-Z, and younger voters love Jay-Z. So why would, that's his problem, because they have to admit that there's a problem, but they want to give a false problem. They want to give a straw man, a fake man. That's what straw man means, essentially, fake man. They give a straw man to the problem, and then they have James Clyburn being all like, no, it's about substance. It's not about none of that other stuff. That's what they do. Okay, so watch out for these pastors be all like, man, when is the last time Biden went to Popeyes? That's why I don't want to vote. Like, I promise you, nobody in the grassroots is giving a damn about that. Nobody. All right. Now, something else I want to show you, because we're talking about Jim Clyburn and we're talking about the things he's done. Check this out. One of the biggest things. Let me get this straight up. Here we go. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, this is from the Washington Post now. The Reparations rebranded. South Carolina Congressman James Clyburn proposed a race-neutral anti-poverty program a decade ago. Presidential candidates recast as a compensation for slavery. Now, mind you, I've already played multiple clips of him saying he don't support cash payments, and we need to get real, and we need to stop sloganizing. We've heard him say that, even though he says he supports HR 40. But let's look at this. Let's find out what this is about. This race-neutral anti-poverty program. Let's find out. It says Denmark, South Carolina. This is one of the most powerful African-American Congress, and some presidential candidates are calling a form of reparations. Oh, $315,000 in recent federal investment in a rural, predominantly black town where more than a third of the 3,000 residents live in poverty. More than 30% of his residents live in poverty. Okay. All right. It continues to say, the school received new buses, an emergency medical center, and got ultrasound machine and life-saving equipment. This man's been in there for over 30 years, and they are just now getting an ultrasound machine in their hospital. Says, and the mayor is expecting more federal dollars to overhaul the aging water system. House Majority Whip James E. Clyburn, whose district encompasses 8 of the state's poorest, highlight the word poorest counties, has long opposed cash payments. Let me highlight the whole thing. Starting from the top, House Majority Whip James E. Clyburn, whose district encompasses 8 of the state's poorest counties, has long opposed cash payments to African Americans whose ancestors were enslaved. Let me just let that marinate. while he was sitting up there snapping on the brother who asked him about reparations. Why y'all keep messing with me? I'm in the supporting age of 40 since my grandbaby was a baby. He was a baby before then, and I was still doing it. And y'all keep coming over here and giving me these problems. That's not fair and cool, man. Get away. He was doing all of that. He was hitting people. James Clyburn was hitting people when they was asking about reparations. I do support it now. Leave me alone. And this is him just blatantly. Oh, he's long been opposed to cash payments. Now, of course, we ain't gonna say African, FBA, red pen energy right there. But let's continue. It says he believes. Listen to what he says. It says he believes it would be too difficult to determine who deserves to be compensated. Now, let me ask you, does this not sound like something a Republican would say? When people ask, like, what is the difference between Democrats and Republicans? And people say, you got folks online like Roland Martin and stuff like that saying, well, you ain't going to get anything with the Republicans. He says stuff like that. You got folks who say, well, with the Republicans, all of them oppose reparations. Tell me what the difference is. James Clyburn has been a Democrat longer than a lot of Democrats sitting in office now. And he's opposed to cash payment reparations. So tell me what the difference is. So he says it would be too difficult to determine. Now, he didn't say that when it came to the Native Americans, though. It's not going to be too difficult to determine that, though. But okay, all right. But a race-neutral anti-poverty program he conceived a decade ago is now catching fire among candidates for the Democratic nomination as a way to provide practical restoration for slavery. Just let me just get this off screen. Connect with y'all real quick, fam. Let me connect with y'all. James Clyburn snapped off. Now, let me play this clip again, because y'all don't know the energy he had. He made it seem like he was an activist. Listen, look at this. Look at this energy he has with this.
I'm fucking with me on that. I'm the only one doing the bill. It's my bill.
Which bill? It's my bill.
The reparations bill. HR 40? HR 40. Okay. And I've been doing it for 20 years, 30 years. And it's been around for 38. So why y'all keep telling me about a bill that's been there for 30 years?
Oh, so right there, he's making it seem like he's been the longest, hardest working reparationist to ever exist. I've been doing it for 30 years. That's what he said. So either he's been doing it what have you been doing for 30 years if you're saying cash payments is not practical and we need a race neutral solution to restore slavery? Let me ask you, was slavery race neutral? Because last I checked, only FBA was enslaved. Last I checked. So why are you trying to enact a race neutral solution for something that didn't happen race neutrally? Slavery did not happen across the board, so reparations cannot happen across the board. All right. Now, mind you, too, you didn't need a race neutral solution when it came to the Japanese getting their money. When it comes to when it came to the Native Americans getting their money, when it came to all these other people getting their money, all these other groups, ethnic groups of people getting their money, you don't need a race neutral plan for that. But when it comes to us as Foundation Black Americans getting our money, now we need to discover a race neutral plan for slavery, despite the fact that only FBA were enslaved, only us, but the solution has to be race neutral. This is coming from your Democrats, y'all. It's coming from the Democrats. Let's continue, though. Scrolling down a little bit, it says several presidential hopefuls, including Bernie Sanders, Amy Klobuchar, have sought to rebrand Clyburn's program as a vehicle for reparations, which remain politically contentious. So they're trying to say, well, really, race-neutral anti-poverty program is reparations. Now, a few years ago, there was a whole bunch of folks on them like, Bernie's the man. I love Bernie. Bernie, Bernie, Bernie. And this is what Bernie's saying. Now, remember when they said the thing directly to him about cash payment being a form of reparations, he said it's unfeasible and it's divisive. But that's your man Bernie, though, for some of y'all. So it continues to say, Clyburn's idea with strong bipartisan support was originally adopted in 2009 by just one federal agency. But framing the program, which targets federal spending on certain high poverty areas as reparations, has drawn criticism from African Americans living in poor urban neighborhoods, some in Clyburn's own district, that do not qualify for the funding, as well as longtime advocates for reparations. So Clyburn is coming up with this proposal that's going to be completely race neutral, and he got folks in his own district, as they said, 8 of the poorest counties. He has people in his own district who are not going to be eligible for this program. This man's not even looking out for his own damn district, as well as reparations like us for people who want it everywhere. Oh, Lord, y'all. It continues to say, the critique underlines the difficulty of finding a solution. Really, difficulty is not difficult. The critique underlines the difficulty of finding a solution that would satisfy those demanding redress and also be politically viable. Man, I've never ever heard of something being so politically unviable as reparations, only when it comes to foundational Black Americans. Because when it came to Ukraine, when it came to Afghanistan, when it came to Israel, when it came to illegal immigrants, when it comes to all of these other things, it's 100% politically viable. But when it comes to us, it's not politically viable. That's what they're saying. Oh, hold on. Let's scroll down a little bit too fast. It says, quote, this is him, quote, I think it's good unifying public policy. It's not reparations, said Ron Daniels. Now, it wasn't Clyburn, it was Ron Daniels, convener of the National African American Reparations Commission, really, who has been working with congressional Democrats on a bill to study reparations proposals. To study a reparations proposal, that's HR 40, that's not anything. We've already discussed that, all right? Now, here's some data. It's important that we keep note of this. Now, the program is the 10-20-30 program. Despite being rebranded as reparations, 10-20-30 program misses pockets of urban Black poverty. The anti-poverty program allocates federal funds to presently poor counties that it was designed to be race neutral, but Democratic presidential hopefuls described 10-30-40 as a form of reparations. Now, these are the people. The blue is the people who qualify, who are eligible, and the red or the orange are the people who are not. So we scroll through here. The blue are people who really qualify, and the red are the counties that do not qualify. All right. So blue is for more people who qualify, red is for less. All right. It says poor neighborhoods in cities like Columbia, Cleveland, and Oakland are often not eligible for 10-30 30 years or more. That's why it's called the 10-20-30. So if they live, the counties, so you know, based off of this, if the county has been under the poverty line, if 20% are under the poverty line, they wouldn't be eligible if they have not been under the poverty line for over 30 years. So if they've been under the poverty line for 28 years, 29 years, because this is anything, it says more, right? 10% of the have lived up. So if 30% of a county lives under the poverty line, but they have not lived under the poverty line for 30 years, they would not be eligible. That's really what that means. All right. So it says it was originally intended to address entrenched poverty among all ALL Americans, directing billions across the country, including to the swath of the rural South known as the Black Belt, a predominantly white helmet of Appalachia. So you guys know what that is. I'm gonna give you guys this map of it. So no, not that. All right, this. Okay. It says I mispronounce this word often, don't mean to. Appalachia is a socio-economic region located in the central and southern sections of the Appalachian Mountains of the eastern United States. I know that's not a commonly used phrase, so I just wanted you guys to have a visual of that. All right. Get this off the screen so we can continue. It says, of the 460 counties now considered eligible for the money, 18% are majority Black and 58% are majority white, according to an analysis by the Washington Post. So according to Jim Clyburn's plan, which has been rebranded as reparations, most of the money are going to go to white people. According to his plan, 18% are majority Black and 58% are majority white, which means most of the money is going to go to white people. This is his reparations plan. While he says he does not believe in direct cash payments. Continues to say, amid a new renewed debate about how to atone for slavery and centuries of systematic racism, Clyburn has embraced the rebranding of his program as a politically palatable form of reparations. So at first, this man was going around saying that affirmative action was reparations. Now this man is sitting up there saying that this program, the give money to mostly white people program, is reparations. Here we go. Quote, I really believe that this whole issue of reparations ought to be studied and ought to be dealt with. But it ought to, he says ought a lot, but it ought to be dealt with in a realistic terms, within realistic terms. So that means no cash. That's what that means. No money, no cash. When he says ought to be dealt with in realistic terms, that means no money. That's what that means. Okay. Clyburn said during an hour-long drive from his district headquarters in Columbia, the state capital of Denmark. Oh, listen to this. He don't stop there, y'all. He don't stop. He says, I'm never, notice he used the word never. I'm never going to individualize reparations, which means it's not going to be direct cash payments to individuals. That's what that means. That's what that translates to. It needs to be applied institutionally across the board, he said. It should be systemic, benefiting communities inhabited by those who have been neglected. Even, hold on, y'all. Hold on. He don't stop there. Even if that includes white Americans. He says, now this is even if that includes white Americans, question mark. And then he says, it's not just about Black people, but it's also about Black people. Let me zoom in so you guys can really feel when they said even if that includes white Americans, he says it's not just about black people, but it is also about black people. So we get the also. That's what we get for our reparations is an also. It's not just about us though. Didn't Kamala Harris say the same thing? Oh, you can't expect me to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No. So when it comes to us, oh, it can't just be about us. Now, remember, and that's why I played that clip about him advocating for the Indians. When it came to them, he's like, oh, it can't just be about the Indians, man. It can't do that. When it comes to anybody else, it's never, oh, it can't just be about the Native Americans. It can't just be about the illegal immigrants. It can't just be about them. It can't just be about that. But when it comes to repairing the damage of slavery, it can't just be about the descendants of the people who were enslaved. It has to also be about the descendants of the people who were slave masters. It has to be about them as well, too. This is Clyburn. Now, let me ask you, does this not sound like something a Republican would say? Oh, it can't just be about black people. Oh, what? When do y'all say that about anybody else? Oh, it can't just be about them, even though your program would benefit more white people than black people. Or it can't just be about them. It's also about us, though. Y'all included. Y'all be grateful, niggas. Clyburn. Now, this was done in 2020, so he's older now. Clyburn, 79, proposed his 10-20-30 formula following the Great Recession as a way to include historically neglected communities, such as those in the Black Belt in 2009 economic stimulus package. Okay. A former high school history teacher, Clyburn, said he was wary of history repeating itself. President Franklin D. Roosevelt's New Deal to help the country recover from the Great Depression had largely neglected poor African American communities, he said. Come on now. Quote, the New Deal was a raw deal for many of the communities I represent, he said, citing that the 1939 construction of two lakes to dam the Stady River, and generate electricity. So would they dam the river? That means they put a dam there so they can, put the wheels there and, generate electricity and stuff like that. That's what that is. It says white landowners were compensated. Remember, I said that earlier. White landowners were compensated for their flooded farmland, he said. But black sharecroppers were forced to leave their homes and communities with little to no compensation. The grave of his late wife's grandmother now rests at the bottom of one of those lakes. And in the Jim Crow South, jobs created under the New Deal invariably went to whites, he said. So it's so interesting that he's making a program for whites, considering all of the harm that black people went through. He's citing the harm that black people went through so he can use it to push a program he made for white people. Because that's the program for white people. Okay, that's white people. Well, you're white, so you get reparations. Quote, the white folks benefited and black folks did not. We got crumbs, Clyburn said. How do you make up for all that stuff to make sure these communities left out of the last recovery from the Great Depression didn't get left out of this one? And so when President-elect Barack Obama conveyed his first meeting with congressional leaders amid the depths of the financial crisis, Clyburn proposed the 10-20-30. The 10-20-30. Lawmakers initially applied the formula to just a few programs funded by the agricultural department. That initial $1.7 billion distributed under 2009 American Recovery and Reinvestment Act helped build water and wastewater infrastructure, expanded community health centers, and extended broadband service in rural areas around the country, according to a report by Clyburn's office. Come on, don't act slow now. Here we go. Quote, I felt communities like this one, if we did not put in some safeguards, some guarantees, would get left out of the recovery, Clyburn told teachers and administrators during his visit to Denmark or high school last month. Now fast forward to the whole issue of now fast forward to the whole issue of reparations that's been discussed in this campaign. Several of the candidates are saying they've dealt with it using the 10-20-30 formula. That is a way to deal with this whole issue. By 2017, Clyburn's funding formula was expanded by Congress to programs managed by the Commerce and Treasury Departments and environmental protection agenda. Come on, scroll down now. So as you can see, this is nothing to do with reparations. This is a nothing burger. And to be honest, this is benefiting, like it says, more white people than anybody. Clyburn said he was able to attract bipartisan support to expand the program during annual appropriations because 2/3 of the nearly 500 counties that qualified for the funds were represented by Republicans. And of course, the Republicans are going to sign off on it because a lot of them are in Republican areas and is benefiting white people more than anybody else. So why would they not? But the House colleagues, notably those representing Black urban communities, pointed out his formula overlooks low-income neighborhoods surrounded by wealthier demographics. I got hit upside the head for using county-wide poverty levels, Clyburn said. Representative Marcia L. Fuge from Iowa and Barbara Lee from California, among others, lobbied him to include high poverty census tracts such as the ones they represented in Cleveland and Oakland, as well as those in Clyburn's own district in Columbia, he said. So Clyburn's own district won't even benefit from his own fake reparations program. Clyburn introduced the bill in 2018 with Senator Cory Booker. Oh Lord, don't even get me started on that clown. Cory Booker to do just that. The proposed legislation, which has yet to make it out of the committee, would also extend the formula to education, housing, and other federal programs. No direct cash payments. All right. Now, this is some of the things here. Now you see black. The black is the blue, the white is the red, and the gray is other. All right. High poverty census tracts across the country could be eligible for federal anti-poverty funding under Jim Clyburn's proposal. Now you can see here, these are the areas that would be highest areas would be eligible. All right. Now it's pointing right here, and you can see the demographic. All right. Other represents the less than 10. Okay. But look at what would be eligible. All right. Now, most of the black people live around this area, but the whole, as you can see, the whole outlined area would be eligible. But most of the people in the outlined area that would be eligible are white people. You're looking at it right now. So this is a benefiting white people program. Come on, scroll up. It says, in South Carolina, adding high poverty census tracts to the formula as Fudge and Lee proposed would triple the number of African Americans in the 10, 20, 30 communities. The Post analysts found the change would benefit whites even more, quadrupling their numbers in such areas. So this is why direct cash payments is the only thing that works. This is why direct cash payments is the only thing that works. Okay. Senator Sanders, who opposed reparations now they're talking about Bernie Sanders, who opposed reparations as divisive during his 2016 presidential run, pointed to Clyburn's program when pressed on reparations during a CNN town hall last year as a way to end institutional racism in this country. It's not ending that. How is it ending that? It's not. And improve lives for those people who have been hurt from the legacy of slavery. No, it don't. No, it don't, because white people weren't enslaved. So they getting the lift off, they getting the boost, they getting the money, they getting the education, they getting the house. But it's going to improve the legacy of slavery. It's going to improve on that. It's going to repair that, fix that. Come on, scroll down. Come on now. Taking too long. It says Kubashar told the New York Times editorial board that, quote, investing in communities that have been in poverty for decades could be a form of reparations. See all these forms of reparations now? Representative Clyburn, quote, Representative Clyburn has a bill that Corey leads in the Senate. And as president, this is something I would want to get done, she said. This is why we have to be strict. This is why we use our red pen energy when we see stuff like this, because this is not reparations. Because what they want to do is they want to pass this and they want to say, well, you know, this is kind of reparations now. And then when they give it and it benefits white people and our situation gets worse, because it will get worse. Then they'll be all like, well, I mean, we did give y'all reparations. It's not our fault. Y'all didn't know what to do with it. It's not our fault. It's y'all fault. Y'all need to pull yourselves up by your own bootstraps. How about that? That's what they would say. It says, and while campaigning recently in Orangeburg, South Carolina, former Vice President Joe Biden vowed, now this was before the election, Joe Biden vowed to help pass Clyburn's 10-20-30 initiative if elected. That's another promise he wrote, saying it, quote, will go a long way to end the legacy of systemic racism without specifically tying it to reparations. Without specifically tying it to reparations. Clyburn said he never thought to frame his funding formula as reparations until Sanders began casting it that way. So it was Bernie Sanders who proposed the idea to turn this into reparations. His whole thing of, well, if the district is super, super, super poor, we give them federal assistance, and that's reparations. So the poorest of the poorest of the poor, who've been the poorest for over 30 years, you all get some federal funding, whatever that means. And that's really reparations, don't you know? So these are pictures, you know, from South Carolina or whatever the case is. We're going to go through. We're going to scroll to the bottom. His rural black constituents are focused on getting clean water, broadband access, school buildings, and roofings that don't leak, he said. Not on what he characterized as in esoteric academic debate, okay, which is the debate that's going on in Washington. Happening in Washington over reparations, which is cash payments. Quote, the problem we've got, most Democrats, is that we are getting hung up on all the highfalutin phrases. You know, he don't like his phrases. Highfalutin phrases, he said. reparations shouldn't just be some intellectual discussion. You've got to make people see what it means to give to them in their everyday lives. 10, 20, 30 is simple for people to understand. Cash payments is much simpler. Cash payments is much simpler for people to understand. I guarantee it. In Denmark, black residents, a barber, they love going to the barbershop, a barber, a college student, a mother of 3 said they had a difficult time envisioning how reparations would apply to their lives. Their poverty, each said, is their priority. Sorry, their priority, each said their separate interviews is keeping children safe after school, away from the street violence plaguing their town. The quote, reparations don't matter. Highlight that. Highlight that one. Reparations don't matter, said Lord Courtney Braxton, a housekeeper walking with her 8-year-old son along the desolate main street past a storefront plastered with Sanders campaign signs. Quote, what matters is investing in this community. Oh, now these are the people in elected office. During a lunchtime visit with Bamberg Burnwell Emergency Medical Center, which opened last spring after 2 rural hospitals shut down, Clyburn told hospital administrators that he had only recently begun to think of the $100,000 in federal grants the center received in the context of reparations. So $100,000 in federal grants is reparations, and he's only now starting to see it as that. He paraphrased 19th century French diplomat Alex D. Lord, this name, Dacqueville. The greatness of America lies not in being more enlightened than any other nation, but rather in her ability to repair her faults. All right. Except when it comes to cash payment, because that's something that James Clyburn repeatedly said he refuses. He's adamantly refused that. Clyburn said he was slow to sign on the 3-decade-old House bill introduced. Now, this is what they're talking about, H.R. 40. Now, remember, when he came to H.R. 40, he was talking about, I've been supporting H.R. 40 from the very beginning. You messing with me. Now, remember he said that, right? Remember, now we get into it, but he says, Clyburn, let me start from the beginning. Clyburn said he was slow to sign on to the 3 decades old House bill introduced in 1989 by then Representative John Conyers of Michigan, John Conyers Jr., to study reparations proposal. So he was slow to sign on. He didn't jump on board. I've been fighting for reparations forever. He wasn't like that. He wasn't. It says, doing so most recently at his staff's urging last spring. That means his staff had to convince him to do it. He didn't want to do it. The bill, H.R. 40, was numbered to reflect the 40 acres and a mule that the U.S. government promised formerly enslaved people after the Civil War and later rescinded. So all that, I've been doing this for 30 years, and my grandson's only 38 years old. I've been doing it long. He ain't been born. All of that stuff is a lie. Stuff is a lie. It continues to say, and he remains skeptical. He remains skeptical of the most commonly discussed remedy, cash compensation to African American descendants of slavery, which is foundational Black Americans. Quote, this is Clyburn, y'all. There's no way you're going to be able to monetize reparations. You'd split families. Huh? You'd split families. Y'all listen to what he has to say. I know we was kind of long with this, but listen to what he has to say about the cash payment reparations. You'd split families, Clyburn said, recalling his late wife's great-grandfather who was white, and noting the difficulty of determining who would qualify for reparations given people of mixed race heritage and the number of light-skinned African Americans who have lived passing as white. Do y'all hear that? Do y'all hear that? This man literally just said, what about the light skins? What are they gonna do? I mean, we get to, what about the light? How many light-skinned people do you honestly believe in the United States of America today could pass for white? Because I know I'm light-skinned myself. I know a lot of other light-skinned people. I'm telling you myself, as a light-skinned brother, I can't pass for white. I can't pass for a white man. There's so many, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of hundreds of light-skinned people in the chat room right now. Y'all couldn't pass for white. How many light-skinned people could pass for? They don't exist. Meghan Markle is being called a nigger, and she had a surgery to make herself look more white. She's still being called a damn nigger. Or you would split families of mixed. This is why it's all about the lineage. This is why it's about the lineage. Because it don't matter if you have mixed heritage. If your lineage goes back to slavery, you're FBA. It's very, very simple. Folks keep making it seem like this is some big complicated thing of, well, hold on, but your great grandfather was white. Who give a what does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? What about light-skinned people? What? Give us our check too. Continues, Lord, this man. Quote, you set up some kind of cash system, and one of them people who've been passing can lay claim, he said, even though they have never suffered the indignities of being black. He just made that up. He made that up. I'm telling you right now, Jim Clyburn, he made that up when they asked him that question. He does not know, because I don't, and I'm sure hundreds of you in the chat room don't. We don't know a single black person who identifies as black, who's literally mixed. I'm not talking about both your parents are white, but one of your parents got a black grandpa or something like that. I'm talking about you got one solid black parent and you just look so white you could pass. Those people don't, and because of that, I can't get my money. I can't get my check because you got some folk out here who don't look black because I can't get my money. Huh? If they can trace their lineage to slavery and they've been identifying as black, we're not gonna play this game where everybody want to be black the last minute. If they've been black on their paperwork and they can trace their lineage to slavery in America, they're FBA and they get a check. It's very simple. Continues to say the quote realistic way to address reparations, he said, is to do so systematically by infusing resources into low-income communities like Denmark. Many of the country's impoverished communities became poor and black by government design, he said. Race is the reason income is what it is, he said. This is by design. So attack the design. Boy, this is Jim Clyburn for you. Jimbo Jangles, man. Lord, it's so much stuff. We almost done, y'all. I ain't gonna even read through it. Boy, it's a whole bunch. Read a little bit more. Y'all get the feeling. Y'all get it, though. Daniels, the reparations advocate who helped manage Jesse Lee Jackson's 1988 presidential bid, which made the call for reparations a central plank, said he has been surprised that the debate has gained as much traction as it has in 2020 Democratic campaign. Yeah, that's because of us. Shout out to us. It says the reparations conversation is happening in a way that I would not believe I would see in my lifetime, said Daniel, 77 years old. That's because of us. That's because of us over here. That's because we doing the work. The remedy, though, should be defined as administered by Black people, he said. A lot of people want to call everything reparations, but reparations should be race specific. No. See, this is where we get the red pen energy. It should not be race specific. It should be lineage specific. If I have my red pen and I can mark that, no. It shouldn't be race specific. It needs to be lineage specific. Let's not make that mistake there. All right. It should be race specific because the injuries was race specific. The injuries was lineage specific. Let's be honest about that. All right. It says, continuing, William Darity Jr., a Duke University professor whose research focused on the economics of reparations, said Clyburn's funding formula, quote, does not begin to qualify as a reparations program because it does not ensure Black wealth accumulation to address the pervasive economic inequality, which is true. It is a way of ducking the question, he said. A typical Black family has only 1/10 the net worth of a typical white family, according to the Federal Reserve. Let's go down. It says Darity, who has enlisted other Black academics and activists in what he calls a, quote, reparations planning committee, said a comprehensive reparations program should raise the Black share of the nation's wealth to the Black share of the nation's population. That will require increasing Black wealth by at least $10 trillion, he said. All right. Going down some. In North Columbia, where the average life expectancy in one predominantly Black neighborhood is 20 years shorter than the white wealthy area 2 miles away, Black residents of the most impoverished communities say reparations to them, represents equality in opportunity and not being trapped in a system of dependence on federal assistance. It's investment in the future. Just give us cash. Come on now. This is where one neighborhood of subsidized housing dead ends into another, dubbed by the local newspaper in 2018 as the most violent block in the city. Scrolling down some more, it says the North Point Estate, where grandmothers are afraid to sit on their porches because of gunshots. Residents say they would welcome greater government investment through Clyburn's program in the absence of reparations. But here's the thing. It is not time to get weak in the knees. Don't take a substitute. This is why we've been making so much progress, is because we are not taking a substitute. It is because we are not taking anything as an exception. Don't say, well, we would take it in the absence of reparations. We're not accepting anything in the absence of reparations. We're not accepting anything in the absence of reparations, because there better not be an absence of reparations. Absolutely nothing. A lot of these people who are accepting this, these are grandmothers, these are women older, these are women who are in their age and they just want to enjoy the rest of their life, and they've essentially given up and they said, well, if I can get anything, I will accept that. See, us here, that we have over 500 people in this chat room. Us here, we have not given up. The fight and the fire is still within our hearts and our spirits. All right. So we're not going to take a substitute. We're not going to take something in the absence of what we are owed. We're not going to be satisfied and comply with just anything. We're not going to acquiesce to just anything. This 10, 20, 30 program is not anything really for us. So we're not going to accept that in the form of reparations or in absence of reparations. For Tonia Isaac, a 40-year-old Sunday school teacher who spent her teen years in the subsidized housing complex and has lived there with her husband and children for the past 12 years, reparations could not be disentangled from poverty and race. Okay, I guess these are the we're not gonna look at the pictures. We've been here for a minute. It says, while she and her neighbors, nursing assistants, CNAs, nursing assistants, cooks, fast food workers receive government subsidies in the form of housing and food stamps, Isaac said the safety net does not lift anyone out of poverty, which is what the subsidies are, the safety nets. They don't lift anyone out of poverty. She said $8.50 an hour. Y'all, $8.50 an hour. If you guys go to McDonald's right now and you order a Big Mac meal, it would cost you more than what these people in South Carolina are making an hour. So that means an hour of their labor, an hour of their time, an hour of their life doesn't equal a Big Mac meal from McDonald's. They could not afford that because that would be too expensive for them. That's what that means. She makes $8.50 an hour working part-time as a home health aide, and she said she risks losing her federal assistance if she earns more, even though working full-time would not raise her family above the poverty line. And this is what keeps people in the poverty, because she relies on the government assistance. And if she makes any more than $8.50, so if she makes $9 an hour, she would be cut from her federal assistance, and the $9 an hour isn't going to be enough to make up for the federal the money and the benefit the federal assistance was making. Do you see how sad? And you mean to tell me that these people don't deserve cash payments? Continuing. Quote, you are kept at this level. Her hand lowering to her waist. But even if Clyburn were able to expand his program to invest in long impoverished urban neighborhoods like hers, Isaac said, the extra federal dollars would come nowhere close to being considered reparations. Shout out to our sister there. It would come nowhere close. Give this money the money that she is owed. Give her her money. I don't know why it's scrolling so slow. I said we weren't going to read the whole thing, but we got to the whole thing. And y'all know how I get down. Sometimes it just happens like that. It says, quote, there's so much more to 40 acres in a mule that should have been given that still can be given, Isaac said. Reparations should be a way to give us a sense of ownership that was ripped away from us when they ripped us from our homelands. Now, I'm not mad at that. A lot of us were here already, but they still took it. So they still, in a way, even though they came to our land, they still did rip us from our homeland. We live on our homeland, but they ripped the ownership away from us. So in a way, you can look at it that way. If my ancestors had a home on a field and on the fields they tilled, if we had the 40 acres that was promised, we would be in a better sense of ownership as a people, she said, and our children wouldn't feel like they're still running for their lives. Shout out to that sister. All right. So this is the thing. Jim, let me get it off the screen. This is the thing. Jim Clyburn's acting like his stuff has mattered. All of this stuff. He's acting like that. Nobody, not a single foundational Black American is caring that he's not going to be there. Now, he still is running. It's not like he's going to give up Congress. This is why we got to get him out of Congress. We need more people like that who's all like, hey, this 10, 20, 30 program that you saying is reparations, that you don't mind being rebranded as reparations, despite the fact that you are adamantly opposed to any form of cash payments. You are adamantly opposed to that. Despite that, you're still allowing this to be called reparations, which is a shame on you. Shame on him for doing that. He's still allowing that. All right. So we need people all like, hey, man, I mean, government assistance is cool, but that's not reparations, because the thing is that you're only going to get government assistance to a certain level. You have to stay at a certain level to get government assistance. When you go up even a little bit, they are like, okay, no more government assistance for you. You're done. You're good. And that leaves people in a bad situation. So even if she went from part-time to full-time, she would not make enough. She would probably, and this is the saddest part, if she went from part-time to full-time, she would probably be worse off financially than she would staying full-time and getting a little bit of the government assistance. That's sad. And that's in Clyburn's district. But he's sitting up there coming up with plans and developing plans for other people and opposing reparations for us. What is the? I'm telling you, what is the difference? This is why we say the Democrat and Republican, they're both one side of the same coin. All right, we got more super chats. Let me acknowledge these. It says super sticker DSB, thank you very much. EJ, thank you very much. I appreciate you. EJ, again, watch me get thrown out of church. Hey, I feel you, brother. Say what needs to be said. Our good sister Lisa says God is good. Absolutely, all the time. William says penalties and interest apply, but we want that tax-free. Hey, yeah, we want it. Hey, don't be taxing our rents. Yeah, don't tax the reparations. Don't tax the reparations. Thank you all so very much. Infirmary. Okay. Did I get to you? Thank you very much. Okay, now my thing is freezing. It said, he says NFR M equals infirmary. Okay, all right, brother. Appreciate you, brother. Y'all, that's sad. This is Clyburn. This is the Democrats. So when we tell Biden and when we tell them that, okay, you know what? If this is the respect that we can get, this is the level of support we can get, fine. We're going to have the same amount of support that you guys have had for us. We're going to have that same level of support come election time. It's coming up. It's coming up real close. It's this year. Not even 12 months away. This year. Oh, okay. The same support. We're going to pretend this is couch. This is a very nice, comfortable couch right here. This is a very nice couch. And I've been showing you little clips. Tell me what the difference is between the Republican and the Democrat if they're saying the same thing. Tell me what the difference is between the Republican and the Democrat if Donald Trump, if Ron DeSantis, if Nikki Haley is saying that affirmative action is reparations and Jim Clyburn is saying affirmative action is reparations. Tell me what the difference is. Tell me what the difference is if Ron DeSantis says that cash payment reparations is ridiculous. Tell me what the difference is between him saying that and between Jim Clyburn saying that. Tell me what the difference is. Tell me what the difference is between Donald Trump saying stop defunding the police. Tell me what the difference is between him saying that, between Nikki Haley saying that, between Ron DeSantis saying that, between Vivek Ramaswamy saying that. Tell me what the difference is between them saying that and Jim Clyburn saying to tell us to stop defunding the police and sloganizing kills people. Tell me what the difference is, because I'm seeing you all have the same talking points when it comes to us. When it comes to us, you all have the same talking points. Tell me what the difference is when we ask them Republicans about reparations and they say, well, it can't just be for black people. And then we ask Democrats about reparations and they say it can't just be for black people. It's not just about black people over here, and it's not just about black people over here. Tell me what the difference is. I want to know. I want to know what this difference is, because the only party I see that's any different is the furniture party. The furniture party, I see the furniture party looks a little bit different to me. The Republican Party, the Democratic Party, y'all the same when it comes to us. But the furniture party, that's I don't know. The furniture party is looking real nice. I like the candidate, the couch. I like Mr. Couch. The couch is looking really good. I'm leaning towards the couch, to be honest. That's the candidate that's beating Biden. That's the candidate that's beating Trump. Clyburn is sitting up there making it seem like black people support Biden. Okay. That couch, the couch is coming up. Every single time you do something, every time Biden does something, every time the Republicans do something, every time Trump does something, it makes the couch look better and better and better and better. Y'all fighting amongst each other. Y'all need to be fighting with that damn couch, because that couch is coming up. And come November, we're going to see that couch. That couch is going to be a bigger threat than you guys think. A much bigger threat. Free standard shipping. Free standard shipping. And most of the people probably gonna get this anyway. Every single time I do a sale, people love the FBA stuff. People love it. This is my best seller, period. So people also do like the For the Culture mug too. So shout out the For the Culture mug. People love that one as well too. So let's not sleep on that one. Couch or couch? Did they misspell it? If they misspelled it, I'm going to kill them. I am. I'm going to. Okay, it's misspelled. See that now when I put the design. Okay, see that's why I go in to make the finishing touches, but it's gonna be the same thing. I'm just gonna go in and make the finishing touches. It's gonna be fine. They miss. I didn't do it. I didn't make that design. I didn't. So it wasn't me. Don't get done. Don't do that. Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me. But anyway, I'm going to go in. I'm going to fix it. But y'all know the concept of the design. The sale's not on until tomorrow anyway. It's going to be fixed by then. It's not on to tomorrow anyway. They spelled it couch. They spelled it wrong. Okay. Anyway, brothers and sisters, make sure you all follow me on my various social media platforms. Let me find it right here, which is Afro Elite on Instagram. All right. And then the Afro Elite on Twitter. The links to both of those are in the description. Links to both of those in the description as well. Make sure you also, before you leave, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't done so, make sure you guys are subscribed as well too, because people mysteriously get unsubscribed. So make sure you guys are subscribed. Hit that like button and hit that notification button so you don't miss out on anything. All right. We got a lot of good content coming up. We got a lot of stuff coming up. So we need you guys to be on deck. We're going to need all hands on deck coming up soon. All right. So with that being said, my brothers and sisters, I appreciate every single last one of you guys. Thank you guys. You already know the program. Leaving the thumbs up before we get out of here. I appreciate every single last one of you all. And of course, you all have a good one.